Jason Aaron concludes not just his Avengers Assemble storyline, but his entire run on Avengers with a mega-sized book that ties everything up in a neat bow and leaves it for Jed MacKay and his team to pick up in May. Jason ended his run on a real high note here, bringing together all of the great large-scale action and heartfelt character moments you'd expect from an Avenger book, and unlike some other recent big event books, this ending felt earned and was incredibly satisfying as someone who has read his 60-plus issue run between this book and Avengers Forever. Everything was being paid off here. Balancing all this out must have been an absolute mission for the man, but Jason makes it all look so easy, feeding one character's story into another, tying some characters together, or having characters build on something he dropped back in the book some 30 issues ago, like Starbrand, who at first was just a neat little problem the team had to deal with, but then grew, both literally and figuratively, into an integral part of the team and the story. The way Aaron tied off a lot of these storylines felt like a definitive ending for most of them, and rightly so, since he was the one who birthed a lot of these stories both in this book and even back in his Thor run, so it's only fitting he gets to end them all. But I do like he left the door open with certain storylines like the Avengers Forever team who he set up in the Avengers Forever book. Here they're sort of left to explore the multiverse and sort of find their way back into their worlds and everything, so I hope we get to see them very soon, since they were a really fun team and a really great team dynamic of characters. Javier Garron, Aaron Kuder, Jim Town, and Ivan Forelli come together from all over Aaron's run as a sort of artist-themed Avenger team, doling out some just fantastic-looking action set pieces to get through Aaron's conclusion. The artists also captured just the immense scale of this event, just this giant multiverse consuming flood just pouring over all these different characters, and just every page was packed with beautiful details, and just the immense number of characters they would have to deal with was just fantastic, and they all made it look very coherent and gave it a great flow and scale. Avengers Assemble Omega Issue 1 concluded Jason Aaron's long run on the series in a very satisfying, epic way, tying up not just a lot of the massive Avengers Assemble storylines, but several other big pieces of the intricate and huge tapestry he has been weaving since his first comic at Marvel. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. Avengers Assemble Omega Issue 1 finds the God Quarry explode, sending a torrent of rotting remains of the first firmament out over the planet. The water floods the area, swallowing up Doom and Avengers alike. Captain America rallies the heroes, telling them to get to higher ground, but Iron Man tells him there's no higher ground, and the waves are exploding in all directions. He thinks that they need to get to Avengers Mountain so they can teleport away, but Odin tells him they can't run from this, as it will flood over all realities and drown the entire multiverse. Cap calls out for any wounded, hearing of the injured Steve the dog, so he goes and rescues the animal, the corrosive water spitting onto his shield and burning it. Steve has nowhere left to go, telling the dog that he was a good boy, but now he can close his eyes. Old Man Phoenix uses his Phoenix Force to freeze the wave mid-air, telling the heroes to do whatever they need to do fast, since the Phoenix can't hold this back for long. The beaten Mephisto meanwhile is confronted by Doom above all, who even admits that he was surprised to find out Mephisto's true plan, finding the devil did it because he's too pathetic to rule, so he would rather erase it all. Doom knows that it's about erasing his own existence in the grandest way possible though. Mephisto doesn't care for his tone, reminding Doom that he was reigning in hell when Doom was just slithering in the muck, but after eons of the same thing over and over again, he found himself bored of all the sin. He tells the being that hell makes slaves of them all, and even the devil isn't immune to it, and after the flood sweeps all of creation, there will be no more life, afterlife, sinners, or saints, and it will be beautiful. Doom blasts a hole in Mephisto, glad to help the being die. He hopes before he leaves the mortal world, he watches the man who would embrace the power that made even the devil cower. Doom tries to take control of the universe-destroying waters, revealing after he uses it to remake the multiverse, only Doom will remain. The power though suddenly grows in his hand, engulfing his entire body. Ant-Man appears, sarcastically apologizing for using his tech gun to make the controlled dose of power Doom was wielding larger. He tells the villain that it just goes to show that you shouldn't fuck with Ant-Man, as Doom above all is turned to stone by the power, just like all of the other gods who tried to take the power of the Quarry. Ant-Man shrinks down on Doom, telling Mephisto that he is next. Ant-Man tells the heroes that Doom won't be a problem, and they even dealt with Mephisto as well, as Avenger Prime tells Agamotto that they need to seal the breach in the quarry, but even their mystical arts powers is nothing compared to the first firmament. The Carol Corps continue to fight the leftover Dooms, noting how even with their leader gone and a wave of death hanging over them, they are still fighting to the bitter end. Star Panther wants to show them that their battle is one that they are losing, as Valkyrie tells the others that Old Man Phoenix is beginning to fail, and while she's using her old weapon to shore up his adamantium bones, they are beginning to buckle. Jane wants to know what their options are, as Kazar says that Galactus refuses to fight and he's returned to his timeline. Gorilla Man knows it's the mountain's time to shine, as Avenger Prime notices that the mountain is the last Deathlock, returned to his post beside him. Loki tells him that even a Celestial cannot withstand the mountain, as Deathlock says that he is the Deathlock and he has been killed before, and that hasn't stopped him yet. Avenger Mountain plunges his hand into the breach, sealing it off as Thor calls in the Thunder Gods to cauterize the mountain's wound and weld the breach closed. Iron Man finds they don't have enough power for it, and the Phoenix arrives to help. Dark Phoenix, however, appears, grabbing Echo and Phoenix and proclaiming that they will die as footnotes, only remembered for the power that she will drink from their blood. The villain dumps the Phoenixes in the raging water, and Phoenix asks Echo what she cherishes the most. Echo tells her about her Cheyenne people, her father's memory, and being at the side of angels for once. Phoenix tells her to use that, as the Phoenix is a force of chaos and change and passion, or in other words, it's a force of love. The Phoenix explodes from the water, grabbing Dark Phoenix and ripping her wings off, causing her to fall into the water below, engulfed by their depths. Avengers Mountain, meanwhile, has its hand blown off by the geyser of water, unleashing it again into the quarry. The Phoenixes get to work containing the wave, but they find they can barely do much as they spent too much energy in the battle, and they need more. Thor thinks he can help with that, unleashing the fire that was breathed into him the day he was born. The extra power drives the waters back, as Cap asks how they're going to plug the dam. Nighthawk knows that Black Panther told him that it would always come down to this, and they need the Omni Avengers. Starbrain thinks that her and Robbie come into this now, and she finds that Robbie is gone, as is the Ghost Rider, and the All Rider is all that exists. As the Spirit of Vengeance approaches the wave, Brandy tells the others that he is the All Rider now, and nothing is beyond his power, and if it exists, he can make it his ride. All Rider resurrects the dead Doom planet into the planet of Vengeance, throwing it into the geyser and plugging the breach. Mephisto knows it won't hold for long, and Loki knows he's right, since the bedrock was made from the rubble of the ancient dead multiverse beneath them, fortified with the dead bones of gods, and that means nothing from this side can hold the water for long. The cracks begin to form in the surface as the goddesses of thunder spring into action, pinning their Mjolnirs to the surface of the rock. They find that even under the weight of the 3 Mjolnirs, it still is moving, so the women call the hundreds of other hammers around the area, slamming them into the surface. Mephisto tells the heroes that they can struggle all they want, but it won't make them win. Nighthawk smashes him in the face, wanting to do that for a long time, as Ant-Man suggests they throw him into the hole and see if it helps, but Agamotto tells them that that's exactly what the devil wants. He promises the devil that he will live through this, finding the perfect place for his eternal punishment. Mephisto pleads for them to let him die as he is sucked back down into hell. The Phoenix's last bit of energy gives out as Iron Man tells the heroes that nothing from this side can close the hole, so someone has to blast it closed from the other side. Starbrain thinks that she is the one to do this, despite the protests from both Captains Marvel and America, who want to find another way. Robbie knows there is another way, telling Steve and Carol to look after his brother Gabe as he speeds off towards the hole. As the Hellcharger screams towards the water, Starbrain tries to catch up, telling Robbie that it's her turn to do this. Robbie fires some chains at her, tying the woman up as he says to her that no one outraces the All Rider. He says his goodbye to Starbrand and to Robbie Reyes as he crashes headfirst into the hole, plunging into the dark waters beneath it. The Hellcharger begins to crumple under the pressure as the All Rider tells himself that this was one last race all the way to hell. A huge explosion rocks the God Quarry, sealing the hole for good as the heroes find the destroyed remains of Robbie's car. Ant-Man asks if they just won, since it doesn't feel much like a victory. In the aftermath, Loki asks the heroes what they will do now that many of their worlds are lost. Ant-Man agrees with Loki since they are heroes who shouldn't actually exist. The heroes know that even if they were to repair the 615 other Earths, their destruction is what birthed them, so fixing them will cause them to stop existing. Some think that's not such a bad idea, but others think that this is who they are meant to be. As the heroes argue about what to do to bring their worlds back, Phoenix goes to see Starbrand, who finds that the Deathlock Avenger Mountain weeps for the woman, Starbrand says that he's the one who sent her there, but she tried telling him that Starbrands aren't meant to last forever, they are meant to save the world. The two women feel the same call to save the multiverse again, and Starbrand knows that she managed to write one multiverse before, but that was just one reality, and supposes this will probably take a whole lot more fire. Brandy asks if Phoenix is going to say goodbye to her son Thor, but she knows that there is no goodbye to a Phoenix wielder, they remain always within the Inferno. Starbrand thinks that maybe she could go and burn forever, but wants to leave it as a surprise. She reminisces on the ridiculous little life she's lived, hoping that she'll be remembered, and Phoenix wants to ensure she is, as Echo and Old Man Phoenix watch, wondering if there is another way. Logan knows there isn't, really wishing it could have been them, but knows that it was always meant to be Starbrand and the Phoenix, since they have the most to lose and the most to offer the cosmic fates in trade, since they are the heart of all and the always in living form, the baby Starbrand and the mother Phoenix. Starbrand and Phoenix unleash their respective powers, sacrificing themselves to help remake all of the 615 lost worlds in the multiverse. Later on in the Stone Age on Earth 616, Agamotto conducts a spell, knowing that there always must be those who carry on the duty of guarding Earth 616, and to do so he's going to need to be able to see the threats that are coming. He creates several Eyes of Agamotto, which show him the rise of new Ghost Riders, new mutants and men who will reach for the stars, and women who will walk as gods. Iron Fist thinks that sounds promising, eager to see how many of them want to save the world. On Asgard a million years ago, Odin yells at Mjolnir, proclaiming that he is done with it and it has proved itself to be unworthy of him. He says that he will never wield the weapon again, and it is the most willful and unbridled Mjolnir to ever be forged. He hopes that no one can ever hear its thunder again as the hammer crackles with energy. In the far future of New Midgard, the goddesses of thunder train with Mjolnir. Finding one hammer for the three of them is going to be trouble, as Atli races by her sisters with the hammer, unleashing its lightning into the skies once more. Logan watches on, telling the unseen Thor that his granddaughters are bickering over the hammer again and are quite the handful. He now gets why Odin was always so pissy, knowing that there was a day where he would use his fire to fly alongside the women, but he's glad those days are gone, returning to his gardening. Elsewhere, Thor brings Echo to see Asgard, knowing that while the Phoenix was recently burned out of her when she saved all reality at the God Quarry, she is still an Avenger and a friend. Thor introduces the woman to his mothers, as in New York, Nighthawk continues his search for the Squadron Supreme of America, having found no actual sign of them, but the bodies are piling up in their wake. He doesn't know how long he'll live, being he's an artificial creation of Mephisto, but no matter how long he has, he's going to spend that where he belongs. At Seagate Prison, the Avengers meet with Namor, who has turned himself in for his recent crimes, eager to serve his sentence. Cap greets his old friend not as a prisoner, but as an Avenger, but Namor says that he's as much an Avenger as he is the king of Atlantis, which is to say he is neither, at least not anymore. Later on at the North Pole, Captain America talks with the gathered heroes, telling them that while the mountain is now gone and the torch will be passed to a new Avengers team, they will not forget who served there and answered the call when the world needed them. He reveals that he wants to remember those who saved them as he unveils silver statues of Starbrand and Robbie Reyes. Valkyrie meanwhile finishes up her search of the afterlife, hoping to have found any hint that the Phoenix, Robbie and Starbrand had some sort of everlasting rest they rightfully earned. However, she can't find any evidence that they are in heaven or hell. Mr. Horse thinks that they are still out there somewhere, waiting to be reborn, and maybe they should take another sweep of the afterlife. But Jane says they don't need to, since they have their own legacy to forge. In hell, Mephisto finds his current situation worse than before, since he's been partnered with the Orb, who won't stop talking and annoying the King of Hell. At the God Quarry, Avenger Prime prepares the Avengers and Avenger Mountain for inter-universal travel. He tells the teams he wants reports on the scoutings for the new worlds they have recovered, as the Howling Commandos and the Carol Corps leap into the multiverse to see what's out there. Ant-Man and the Avengers meanwhile ask what they are meant to do, since the least they can do is help out after having their worlds reset. Loki tells them that they won't have to wait long for a day like any other, as deep in the Black Sea under the God Quarry, a light shines out into the nothingness, the light from a car headlight, as Robbie Reyes continues to fix up the Hell Charger, waiting for a chance to take the long ride home.